Thank you. Hi, Chris. I'm Candy from Candy Palooza. How are you?
Pretty good. Hi, Candy.
It's great to meet you.
Great to meet you as well.
I love the series.
Oh, thank you. That means a
Yeah,
lot.
I'm on
Yeah.
episode 7.
What was that?
I'm on episode 7
Oh, great. That's
and I'm
cool.
loving it. I'm loving it. So tell me a little bit. First, let's talk about, the series itself. What
Yeah.
is it that you want audiences to take away from the series?
I hope that they take away that it's a really funny, smart, and weird comedy. And I think there's a lot of cinematic elements to it that the comedy for me, the way we created it, me and the co-creators, the showrunners, we were really inspired by movies, and we're all film buffs, so we were inspired by the Coen brothers. We wanted to make a show that was funny but also felt smart and a little weird and surreal at times. So
Right.
yeah, I really hope people take all those elements from it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I definitely feel it. So
Great.
spot on.
Yeah.
So as one of the co-creators, how much input did you have in the creation of the series?
Oh, a lot. The showrunners are former comedians that I knew from the LA comedy scene. I'm a stand-up comic, and I knew them from doing comedy. And they had a TV show that I really enjoyed that was on Comedy Central a few years ago called Corporate, and it was a really dark comedy that I loved. And when I got an opportunity to create with them, they actually hit me up. One day out of the blue, I was working at a warehouse while doing stand-up comedy at night, and they said, "Hey, do you have any ideas? We'd love to work with you on something." And I gave them a version of this, and then we ended up fleshing it out and creating it together. But they were very respectful of, they said, this is your world, so
Right.
you need to feel like you can shape it, because we don't know this world, and we want you to feel that it feels authentic to your experience. And I said, all right, cool. And I mean, they let everything from the way the houses look to decorations and everything. Yeah, I was able to give thoughts, give notes, and okay everything.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm Mexican American, but I'm from Texas, so it's a
Cool.
different, somewhat
Yeah.
different, right? We're different.
Yeah, we're different. And I think sometimes I think sometimes people think like, oh, is this show about Latinos? And I go, no, that's because we're not a monolith, and even Mexican Americans are different, like Mexicans in Los Angeles are different from Mexicans in Dallas. And or Mexicans in Dallas are different from Mexicans in El Paso.
Right.
And I think it's, I said I can only sort of be true to my experience and create from that point of view.
Right. I love that. Yeah. Because I'm from East Texas and my husband is actually in the Army. So we're in Arizona right now.
Yeah.
And I mean, and it's different, and I'm just kind of like, okay, y'all put olives in your tamales? Oh, okay.
Yeah. I know, it tripped me out when I went to El Paso, and they eat their pozole with pan, with bread. That was like, tripped me out because I'm used to tostadas,
Yeah, I was gonna say it's fine. Yeah, in East Texas we do with tostadas as well, so that's wild.
Yeah.
So now on to your character, Julio.
Yeah.
How much of Chris is in Julio? You've kind of given me a little bit, but how much of Chris is in Julio?
I think a lot of it. I think the way I describe the character, he's who I would have been if I didn't start stand-up comedy, which is, I think the thing about Julio as a character is he's a character who has existential dread, and he thinks too much is his problem, and he's a depressed guy. And I think the way he manifests that is he has a lot of problems. So he has codependency issues. So the way to deal with his problems is to not deal with them. It's to help other people. So, and I wanted to make sure that he didn't seem like an angel or a good guy, because I wanted to because that's a boring character to me. I thought if you can show a character who's like helping people for selfish reasons,
right,
to pat himself on the back or to avoid dealing with his own problems, I thought that was really interesting to me. And I think, and at certain points in my life, I've been that way.
Yeah, I felt because I wasn't one of the cholas. I
Yeah,
wasn't one of the, I was like, and I still
yeah,
consider myself pretty vanilla, you
yeah,
know. So I identified with Julio. I was
yeah,
like, man.
yeah. I think he's just a normal dude. I think I wanted to create a character that felt like, I think when people look at neighborhoods like this, like it takes place in South Central, I think the wrong way to, sometimes people think if you're a guy in that neighborhood, you're either a gangster or a wimp. And I
Right,
think that's the bad way to look at it, because there's a lot in between those two. There's a lot of different types of people. That most people are just normal people with day-to-day jobs, and
exactly.
they're depressed or they have existential dread. They think too much, and I think Julio represents that.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
absolutely. I love him. So I'm like back to the creation of it because I was like, I have to ask him, how did you guys come up with the names of the episodes? Because when I
Oh,
was when I was reading the episodes, I was like, putazos.
yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, oh my gosh, hilarious.
Oh,
So
thank
tell me
you.
a little bit about that.
Yeah, that came from just having funny titles that sounded interesting. We just
Right.
thought, and we also wanted to have titles that felt like authentic and funny to the show. And for for him to be like, just to putazos means fight,
Right.
and throwing blows. And we just thought that's what that episode's about. So,
Right.
and he says the word putazos in it. So
Yeah.
let's use that as a title. And then we have another episode titled called Y tu Julio también.
Yeah.
And that was because there's a character named Julio también in the show, in that episode. And one of our writers, I think Jonathan Rao, came up with that title.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was perfect. I was like, you see the names, and some people don't even realize the episodes are
Yeah.
named, right? Or
Yeah.
titled.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I was like, that's so hilarious. I'm like, I
Yeah.
love
We
it.
wanted to have interesting, funny titles.
Right. So with using putazos, obviously someone that doesn't speak Spanish, they're not gonna know what it means.
Yeah.
Uh, so did you guys think like, maybe should we because honestly, I love the way that, you know, you have a lot of Spanish in the show also.
Yeah.
Obviously the subtitles, they help for people that can't speak Spanish. And I mean, and they're spot on.
Oh,
So
yeah. Thank you. Yeah. That just came from, it came from being authentic. To my experience, I remember thinking when I was creating the show, I told the guys, well, the mom shouldn't speak English, and neither should the grandmother. And they go, okay. And I go, because my mom doesn't, and my grandmother definitely didn't. I
yeah,
go, so, and they said, yep, that sounds good to us. They were very great about it. And it kind of came from the idea of not being worried about those kind of things, like people, because there's subtitles. And movies like Parasite, that was a Korean film,
right.
did exceptionally well. And I think if you have an interesting show and it's captivating and funny, people will not care. I mean, they'll just be like, great, it's like a foreign film, you know?
Right. You're
Yeah.
absolutely right. Yeah. And
Mhm.
it's fantastic. I'm really enjoying it. Uh,
Great.
so another aspect of the show is hugs, not thugs,
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
Um, where did you guys come up with the idea of hugs, not thugs?
Um,
Or
we
just
wanted to give him a job. From a narrative point of view, we thought it would be interesting for Julio to work at a place where he's helping people change their lives, but he's doing nothing to change his own life.
right,
You know, and because it's an easy way to neglect your own problems and your own issues, and while still being selfish and patting your own back about it, and
right,
that was inspired by different nonprofits, one of them being Homeboy Industries, that is a nonprofit here in Los Angeles,
right,
but also other nonprofits that help people, so people who maybe have been through the penal prison system, or have there's another nonprofit that I remember I did a comedy show at once. It was called Covenant House in LA, and it helps foster kids who age out of the foster care system, teaching them job skills and stuff like that. So I thought it would be an interesting place for the character to work at. because it just shows this contradiction of his own life and helping others change
Yes.
their lives while he's doing nothing to change his.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a fantastic addition. And I totally got the Homeboy Industries feel from it. And I was like, I wonder if that's where they got it from.
Yeah. I mean,
Cool.
they were definitely one of the inspirations.
Yeah. So I've got 1 more minute left. Mental health, obviously it carries a huge stigma in the Latino community.
Yeah.
Thank you for including it, in the show and making it,
Oh.
really putting it in the forefront.
Oh.
If you want to just say something about that.
Yeah. Well, I think we just wrote it to be interesting and funny and make a show. I don't know that I thought of, if people get that, that's great. And if Latinos see that and go, oh, mental health is important, but that wasn't the mission. It was sort of being like, how do we write something that's interesting and funny, And if people take that from that, that's really great. Yeah.
Well, it's extremely well-rounded and I enjoyed it and I can't wait for everyone to watch.
Oh, thank you.
On Hulu. Thank you so much.
Have a good one. Thank you.